Hey guys, welcome to the channel. In this video, we will be watching the movie titled Proximity from the year 2020. So, let's get started. Turn on subtitles and spoilers ahead. The story starts in 1979 in Wrangell, Alaska. A man named Carl is seen driving on his way back home from work. The frequencies in the car radio start to go haywire as Carl tries to fix it. Just then, the car ahead of Carl flies into the sky and falls back on the ground right in front of him. Carl gets out to check on the person inside the car and finds a mysterious aircraft flying in the sky. Carl tries to run away from it, but he fails to get out of reach of that unidentified flying object, which soon pulls him inside and takes him away with it. The story moves to the present time. We see Isaac, a young and bright NASA scientist from Pasadena, California. One day at work, Isaac receives an audio signal from Canada on one of NASA's satellites. Isaac intercepts that signal and later receives data from an unknown origin. Outside of work, Isaac has some problems of his own, for which he has to see a therapist. To deal with his mental problems, he is suggested by his therapist to keep a daily vlog of what he does and speak his mind on it. So, Isaac begins vlogging his daily life. One day he goes hiking with a camera to vlog his journey. As Isaac is speaking to his camera, he notices something in the far-off distance and turns his camera toward it. Many people from the city also notice what Isaac saw, a huge asteroid falling from the sky. And Isaac, of all people, is the one nearest to the crash site. Isaac looks totally puzzled as two fighter jets fly past him. Soon the police and National Security Force also arrive at the site. Isaac hurriedly gets his things and hides from them. The agents fail to spot Isaac, and he begins to move forward to the direction of the crash site. Isaac finally sees a huge UFO hovering in the air. He picks up his camera and he starts to shoot, but the UFO disappears into thin air just within seconds. He looks around confused, and an alien has appeared behind him. Isaac senses the presence of the alien and nervously turns around. He sees the alien standing before him and calmly presses the button on his camera to record everything that he was seeing in front of him. The alien then casually turns behind and walks away from him. Seeing the alien leave, Isaac makes a run for his life. He starts running in the jungle and suddenly he loses consciousness. 3 days later, Isaac wakes up and finds himself far away from the place where he first saw the UFO. He feels severe pain in his arm but has no visible wounds. He quickly checks his camera and finds the footage he recorded of the alien. He also sees that he was abducted by the aliens, after which he has no recollection of what happened next. Isaac goes home and his hands feel weird. He stares at his reflection on the TV, which instantly vanishes. His hands feel like they're entering another dimension or reality. He focuses intensely and the vanished TV reappears in front of him. Isaac realizes that he now possesses a superpower. He goes to the doctor and finds out that he has a near impossible thin fracture in his arm, and there's no sign of any wound or scar tissue on his arm. At work, Isaac shows his friend the power he gained after disappearing for 3 days, but his friend isn't amused by what Isaac did. It's almost like Isaac was the only one who saw the cub disappear. Desperate to tell the world about his encounter with the alien, Isaac uploads the recorded footage from his camera on the internet. The video gets online and it soon goes viral. He gets contacted by many people who watched his video and had questions for him. Isaac even gets called out for making a fake video to get attention. Desperate to prove that he was really abducted by aliens, Isaac decides to give an interview. He tells everything about what happened that day, but even the interviewer doesn't believe him completely. After that interview, more people start to believe that Isaac fabricated that video to get the media attention. Isaac is frustrated by being called a con artist and a liar. So he looks online for people who say that they have been abducted by aliens just like himself. He finds a blog article of a person whose story matches that of his. He goes to meet that person in a cafe, and while waiting, he notices that the things around him are starting to move on their own. Then a girl named Sarah enters the cafe. The two of them sit down and talk about the countless references of UFOs throughout ancient history. They believe that the aliens are real, and that them being abducted by aliens is proof of it. Sarah tells Isaac about a man named Carl who claimed to be abducted by aliens back in 1979. He told everyone about his story, but no one believed him, and he soon went missing. They know that they have to be careful if they want to know why they were taken by the aliens. Back home, Isaac makes multiple copies of the footage and he decides to mail them to different people who are firm believers of extraterrestrial life form and its presence on Earth. While sending the mail, he meets with a man named Keith, who happens to be a writer. Keith gives his card to Isaac and offers to help him get his story out and prove his innocence. Isaac thinks long and hard before finally deciding to get Keith's help. He goes to Keith's office, who proposes him to take a lie detector test to prove that he had indeed come in contact with the aliens and wasn't lying about anything. Isaac has nothing to hide, so he decides to take the test. Keith connects him to a lie detector kit and starts to ask questions. Isaac confidently answers all the questions given to him, and Keith realizes that Isaac wasn't lying about his encounter with the aliens. He excuses himself and goes out of his office. Then, 2 men in black suits come into the office and take Isaac with them. Isaac tries to run, but he gets shot instead. He gets carried by 2 robots into a room and then is tied to a chair. Through the window of that room, he sees that Sarah has also been abducted by the same people who brought him here. Then, a man appears on the screen in front of Isaac. He introduces himself as Agent Graves and tells Isaac they need to run some tests on him. He asks Isaac to focus on the items put in front of him, but Isaac is too confused and concerned about his and Sarah's safety to focus on what he's being asked to do. Agent Graves asks Isaiah to focus on the item, and this time Isaac does as he is told. He stares intently at the item, but fails to make it vanish. Then Agent Graves directly asks Isaac if he has been in contact with Carl. Although he's never met Carl, Isaac refuses to cooperate with them. He breaks himself free from the chair and attacks the 2 robots who brought him into that room. He finds the room where Sarah is kept and uses his power to open the door. The 2 of them start running to get out of there and are chased by robots. Isaac uses his power again to open the main door. They escape out of there and find themselves in Costa Rica. Agent Graves put all his men to search for Isaac and Sarah, who have reached a nearby town. They have to get in contact with Carl if they want to know what's going on. Isaac asks a lady if they have the internet, and the lady gives them the address of a person who she believes might have a computer with internet connection. They go to that address and meet with Zed, a hacker. Isaac asks Zed to help them find information on Carl. While the robots are searching for Isaac and Sarah, Zed takes them to his place, which is protected from the satellites. It means that they are completely safe from any kind of traffickers that were put inside them. Zed begins his work and finds out that Carl was hiding out in Canada. He connects a call to Carl, who immediately cuts off the connection after seeing Isaac. Zed once again connects the call, and this time Isaac tells Carl about everything about the aliens, the secret agency who are after them, and also about the data which he received at work, which he is sure came from the aliens. Carl gets surprised to hear that Isaac received data back from the aliens. He asks Isaac to send the data to him. Zed hacks into the NASA satellites and sends the data to Carl, who gets to work. He downloads that data and decodes it into audio format, which says that the aliens are coming on October 1st with the exact location of where they are planning to land. Isaac realizes that there are only 5 days left until the aliens land on Earth. Carl warns them to be careful from the secret agency and not to be caught by them before shutting down his computer, which cuts off the connection. Isaac says they have to go to Canada and meet with Carl before the aliens come to Earth. Sarah's scared to see the aliens once again, but Isaac convinces her to come with him. Zed is also excited and asks if he can join them. The 3 of them fly to Canada, and Agent Graves also finds out that they are getting out of Costa Rica. After reaching Canada, they take a train to go to the exact location of Carl, but the robots have easily tracked them and are after them. Zed hands Isaac and Sarah each a mask to wear. Since the robots use facial recognition to identify their targets, the idea is that the mask will confuse them. But the robots are advanced, so it identifies Isaac behind the mask and shoots at him. Isaac manages to save himself, and they somehow fight off the robots, and finally reach the location where Carl has been hiding out for years. After seeing them outside of his house, Carl gets out with a gun in his hand. Isaac is in a panic and confirms that he was the one who gave him the data sent by the aliens. Carl then immediately deactivates the tracking device that was put in Isaac and Sarah's arms. Carl tells his story that ever since he escaped from the secret agency, he's been hiding out in Canada. For years, he's been trying to get in contact with the aliens, and he was able to create something that could translate the audio data sent by the aliens into English. And as per the message received by Isaac, the aliens will land on Earth in exactly 2 days. 2 days pass by pretty quickly, and it's the day of arrival of the aliens. Isaac suddenly feels something weird. The cabin shakes for a moment and then it stops. Carl says that the aliens are almost here. Isaac goes out of the house and starts to look around for the UFO or aliens. He wanders around the jungle and feels the presence of an alien right behind him. He turns around and asks what it wants. Now the aliens are sitting with them inside the cabin and are answering all their questions. The aliens are searching for the origin of everything. They, much like humans, want to know where and how exactly the universe started. So they abducted humans, the closest link to Jesus who started everything. Sarah then asked why they were feeling pain in their arms. The aliens then put a device on her arm which harmlessly dismantles it into 2 pieces. They had put a tracking device inside her arm to keep track of her. Isaac also gets ready to get the tracking device out of his arm, but just then the secret agents arrive outside the cabin. Agent Graves warns everyone to surrender. If they don't do so, then all of them will lose their lives. Carl gets out with a gun in his hands. Graves then questions Carl about where his father is. The person inside the car which fell in front of Carl in 1979 was none other than Agent Graves' father. Since that incident, Graves' father has never been seen. Carl tells him that he knows nothing about what happened to his father, but Graves refuses to believe him and orders his men to shoot him. Carl gets shot and Sarah runs outside to check on him. Isaac yells out to Sarah, telling her to get in, but she too gets shot by the secret agents. Isaac's arm finally gets attached, and the aliens tell him to focus on his powers before vanishing into thin air. Isaac does exactly as he's told. He focuses intensely, and the time around him starts to slow down. He saves his friends just before the bullets hit them, and moves through time and space to safety. Agent Graves and his men are left in shock to see everyone disappear right before them. We see that the aliens come back and heal the injured body of Carl and Sarah. With the powers given to Isaac by the aliens, they are now moving completely free in front of Agent Graves and are invisible to him. 6 months later, Sarah and Isaac are living together and are madly in love with each other. Carl and Zed, on the other hand, start working for an underground tech intelligence agency. As for Agent Graves, he gets fired from his job. Thanks for watching till the end. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more videos.